Safeguarding Africa.
Hello, everybody. This is Mandisa from Safeguarding Africa, and welcome to the Safeguarding Africa podcast. In today's episode, we are talking to a parent. So, if you're a parent and you're listening, this episode is for you. We have a parent on this episode for just the reason, really, the simple reason of wanting to hear about safeguarding, about child protection, about parenting, and how those three intersect. We acknowledge that parenting is a unique and individual experience, but we hope what you can glean from this episode is that if you are a parent or you are a carer, a caregiver for children and young people, that you can at least relate to what you hear, see your own experience in what you hear, and be able to pick up a few insights and even practical ways that you can help your children or the children in your care stay safe and be well. Remember, the point of all of this is for all of us to be whom we needed, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or any adult interacting with young people. So, without further ado, I want to welcome Namhla Nxasana-Duma. Welcome, Namhla.
Hi, Mandisa. Hi, everybody at home.
Thank you so much for agreeing. I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's exciting for us. We're really glad to and looking forward to hearing from you as a mom. But actually, before I go on, please tell us a little bit about yourself and then about your family, your children.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So my name is Namhla Nxasana-Duma. I'm a young mom of three. So I have two biological children, which are my sons. And then I also live with my niece, who's about to turn 18. And she's been a part of our family for the past 5 years. And when I say a part of our family, as in living with me for the past 5 years. So yeah, I've got three children under my roof. We all originally from Durban, but currently reside in Johannesburg for many, many years. And yeah, we're just a fun, loving family. I'm a single parent. The father to my children is very much involved in them, but I am their primary caregiver. They live with me primarily. And my niece also, her parents are quite involved in her life. They just live in different provinces. So it just made sort of sense for her to live with me because they live in different provinces away from home because of work. So we just thought it would be a great idea for her to grow up around her cousins. And because I definitely enjoy being a mom, I took up the task of adding a girl in the family.
Love it. Wow, it sounds like a dynamic home environment.
It
Your
is.
niece is 18. How old are your sons?
The boys are 14, and the oldest is 14, and the baby of the family is 8, turning 9 later this year.
Okay, so you've
So
got them
everybody
like
has almost about a 4 or 5 year gap between them,
four,
all
5
three
year
of them.
gap.
Yeah.
And they all are at this interesting age, right? So you've got like a full-blown teenager, you've got um, an early entry into teenagehood, and then you've got like um, your last one who's about to become a tween. So he's about to
Yes.
be introduced into puberty, all the fun
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. So it's very interesting. And yeah, it's very interesting because, like you say, I mean, my niece is full blown teenager going into adulthood. Like in the next 2 weeks, she's 18, which officially legally makes her, an adult. And then I've got the 14-year-old, 14 going to 20 because he feels like, he's got all the answers to everything. And then we've got obviously so the little one who's going into tween stage because next year he's double digits. But also you just find that him being the baby of the family, but having two older siblings, he's growing up quite fast. So no, he
Yeah.
doesn't see himself as the baby of the family.
I can imagine.
So it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
interesting because everybody's in their own little category.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So what's it like in the home? You've got two boys and a girl? Are there any dynamics that are interesting that are playing out for you that you're observing, just in terms of how they're developing, and how they are, I guess, showing up in the world in the different stages that they're at?
Yeah. So with my niece, she primarily went to boarding school. So it's her first year being home full time. She was in boarding school, so she'd come home like every second weekend during school holidays, and sometimes she wouldn't be around during school holidays because then she's visiting her parents. So it's her first year, fully at home, and she's obviously doing her first year at university. And then my firstborn, it's his first year in high school. So, he's also just finding his footing in terms of school and personality. He's now like a full blown teenager. Um, so the dynamics are very different because, my niece is in her Sisom Dala element. And then obviously the 14-year-old, he's also like in that stage where, puberty is hitting hard.
Sangim
Um,
Dala.
Sing him dial, bit on the moody side. You never know what mornings are going to
Yeah.
look like. On the moody side, sort of keeps himself. I mean, in fact, we started when he started grade 8. He started off in boarding school, and he absolutely didn't like it. He's a bit of an introvert, so he ended up coming home second term. So he, likes his own space, likes his own things, doesn't want to be bothered. Every now and then, be a bit grumpy, but obviously we understand where he's at. And
Yeah.
then the little one, he's finding his personality, but on the feisty side, wants to be independent, also finding his voice and, just it is sometimes a bit of a madhouse because also just making everybody understand that as much as you guys are all under the same roof, but you're at different points in your lives. So if my niece has to go somewhere, I can easily Uber her, and we've put systems in place of how you get there. This is what you do. Then the little one will also feel like, well, why can't I just take an Uber? And you have to
Yeah.
remind them, sorry, you're 8. You're not going in an Uber by yourself. So
Yeah.
it does
Okay.
get a bit crazy because everybody thinks they're on the same level, and then consistently I
Yes.
have to find myself just reminding myself and them that no, guys, if I said yes to this one and I say no to you, these are the reasons. And
Yes.
which can be very difficult because then it can come across as if you favoriting somebody or you being more lenient to someone.
Yes, I can imagine. Yeah, I think these 5 year gaps are definitely giving you a challenge in that area because they're watching you interact with each of them. But
Yes.
and as you said, the young one, because he's around older people, he might start to feel like actually I'm also old, but and then you have to remind him that actually you're not where they are. You're growing up
Yeah.
too, and I can see you are also becoming older, but you're not where
Yeah.
they are. So like I love that Uber example actually, and it just because it's a practical way of actually helping a parent who has multiple kids in the house with different ages think about how to protect or even safeguard, right?
Yeah.
Like if I put an 8-year-old in an Uber, there's so much about how he is developmentally that makes that risk quite significant. Right. He
Yes.
can't, for example, he can't speak up for himself and say, you've just passed my stop the car.
No,
I need to get
definitely.
off.
Yeah.
This Please go ahead. Actually, I want to hear from you. Like, how are you having those conversations? How are you explaining to him that you can't be an Uber like your sister can? But also, what conversations are you having with her about safety?
Yeah. So it's very tricky because look, we live in a fast-paced life. Unlike us, we would go to school, come back home, we had chores. That was just about it with your life, honestly, school,
Yeah.
home. Our kids now, school, extramurals, social activities, this one needs to be there. And also we single parents, we living away from home. So even if you wanted to have like a village to help you, everybody's just so busy.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
Everybody's so busy. So on a particular weekend, I will have the little one's got soccer in the morning. He needs to be dropped off. Then the older one has a basketball match at 10 and he wants me to show up to watch. So I now need to go watch him, And then I might not finish the match because I have to remind him, listen, I need to go fetch your brother, so you're gonna have to Uber home. Then maybe my niece also has something at varsity, and I'm like, dude, I actually won't be able to make it because your things clash, so you're gonna have to Uber. So number one, it's making them understand that I can't be everywhere at once. That's number one. But also, I cannot drive you guys because I'm like halfway across town. So now you need to jump in an Uber. So obviously, firstly, there's the legal aspects where you cannot put kids under a certain age in an Uber alone. They're not supposed to. So that's making the children understand that outside of the fact that it's not safe, I actually legally cannot
Yes.
put you in an Uber by yourself at
Yeah.
8 years old. Then when we obviously have started introducing, like my 14-year-old, he does, take Ubers now by himself. There are conversations that we have that, okay, for starters, because they're growing up in a society where Ubers are so normal, that firstly, guys, it's normal, but it's not that safe as you think it is. Like Uber is not your own private vehicle. This is a
Yes.
stranger that you're jumping in their car. You need to understand that, and anything can happen. Now, once you're in that car, there are protocols that you need to follow. If I send an Uber for you, you check the number plate. You know, against the screen the screenshot that I've sent you or the registration that you have. When you get in the Uber, you sit behind the driver. You do not sit in the front. When you get in the car, once you've closed the door, you double check there's no child lock. You stay off your phone. Just all those things, because also our kids are very naive. When we grew up in townships, and because you
Yeah.
had to be here. Otherwise you're gonna get lost. With
Yeah.
our kids, they're very sheltered. So umuntu mayingena in an Uber, it's almost like ngathi ungena emotweni yakubo. And then
Goes in and relaxes.
just like, yeah.
No.
uh, with the AirPods, talking to his homies in the
Mm,
AirPods. And akasanagile whether usedlulile stopini, is the car going in the right direction. So also teaching them that once you get in the Uber, you need to focus, because funeka focus ukuthi imoto isahamba in the direction that you are familiar with, and it's not stopping for different for like random people. The other day, my son, he stopped the Uber. He asked the Uber driver what he wants to get cool drink at the garage. And I had to check him because now I'm following the Uber. And I said to him, why is your Uber idle? And he's like, no, mom, I needed to get cool drink. I said, you never do that. When you get in an Uber, you go to where I've asked you to go. I don't care how thirsty you are, but you do not ask the Uber driver to stop at the garage. Yeah, but because now that compromises
yeah.
your safety. Because now I obviously am getting alerts from the app that your car has been idle for too long. So it's
Sure.
all the and he
Understand.
didn't, and he was just like, I was just getting something to drink. I was like, I don't care. Just do not stop the
Not
car.
safe. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
safe, because next time I will not know that you stopped the car, because also you stopped the car and you're not telling me. I'm now getting the alert and I'm now
Yes.
nervous ukuthi what is happening. But I click again, akacabanga ukuthi hayibo.
Yeah.
In fact, he didn't even know that the app picks up when the car has. So it's all those things we learn along the way. So with my
Sure.
niece as well, just having those conversations that, what, it's not safe. I know sometimes Uber drivers can be a bit on the chatty side, but that could be also a distracting tactic. So don't get lost in the conversation with the Uber driver. Kanti umuntu yabo, get in the car,
Yeah.
be firm on your directions, uyabingelela, pendula le nto ayibuzayo, but don't be too cham cham because you don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely that constant conversations with them, and also just making them aware of different scenarios. And I always say to the kids, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm being realistic. Like, people actually steal people, and that's a fact. And they're looking at me with like these big saucer eyes, as if
Yeah.
I'm making the stuff up. I'm like, I'm not, guys. And when I paint some of these scenarios, things that I read on social media and I share with you guys, it's because I want you to know that no matter how abstract you think something is, trust and believe it's happening somewhere.
Yeah. Sure. I'm
Yeah.
actually taking notes. So the listeners who are going to watch this, the video version are gonna see that like I keep looking down, but I'm literally taking
Listen,
notes because
yeah.
wow. Firstly, just you are doing an incredible job just from the last 3 minutes of you talking. Wow. Um, I don't have children, so but I do have young people in my life.
Mm,
And I've actually never I've never thought about the Uber conversation the way that you have. And I'm definitely going to use it, to use some of the things you said. And I want to just highlight them so that the listeners really hear it. Guys,
yeah.
here's a boss mom talking here. Listen up. Firstly, do not shy away from telling your children that there are things that the law requires you to do on their
Yeah.
behalf. I can't put you in an Uber. You're underage. Legally, I can't do that. I will get into trouble if I do that with the law, not just any
Yeah.
paid trouble. And I think just speaking with your child so frankly and honestly about that kind of stuff also helps them to, like, it teaches them that, hey, there's mom isn't just like thumb sucking this parenting thing. There's things that actually are guiding her. There's parameters that she has to work within,
Work with. Yeah. Yeah.
right? I really love that. So just say, like, legally, I can't do this. The law doesn't allow us to do this. You can't be, for example, one of the things parents do, thinking they're being loving and fun and nice, is to put an underage child with no driver's license behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And here's a nice way to just explain that. Like, sorry, sweetie, love you, but I really can't give you the car until you are 18 and have a driver's license, or 16 and have a learner's license. Once we get the legal stuff done, we can
Done.
do that.
Yeah.
I really like
Yeah.
that. And then I
No,
also
definitely.
just love that.
Sorry,
Go
but
ahead.
also just for them to understand that should anything happen, I'll be in trouble. So when I say these things, we have laws that govern us, but as much as in this house I'm a law to myself and the things that I say to you guys, but I also have the law that governs actually how I parent. And if you are in an
Yes.
Uber and you guys are in an accident and the cops get to the scene, guess who's getting arrested? I'm definitely going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's your
I
mom in
really
jail.
love that. Sure. I really love that. And then I love, oh my goodness, the Uber stuff. I mean, even if you're grown up and you're listening to this, it
No, yeah,
applies,
definitely. No,
right?
I do that. I
Like,
do that all the time.
check the number plate. Don't get into a car where the number plate doesn't match the one on the screenshot or on the phone. Just don't do
Yeah,
that. Driver's name as well. Sit behind
behind the
the
driver.
driver, not next to him, because that's cool, right?
Yeah,
Near the Pigo, that's cool, but no, we don't do the
no.
cool stuff. We sit behind the driver. Why? Can you just explain that?
So from my research, it's easier if you. So for starters, when you get in and you check the child locks, should anything happen, you have an
Yes,
opportunity to even jump out of the moving car. That I
yes.
mean, that is far better than being kidnapped or whatever, if I may put it like that. So getting in and checking, but also when you are next to him, it's easier for them to do anything, whether it's like pull a gun out on you or and point it
Touch
at you because
you.
you like it or touch you or whatever. But if you're behind, they also restricted to what they can do with their hands to you.
I love
So in
that.
terms of if you see that they're going the different way, you can text. They can't grab your phone. They can't, restrict you.
Oh my goodness. So for a girl child, you can't touch me. I
Yeah.
can't. I mean, even a boy child, excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually.
even our boy children are abused out there. But also, I love that he has a restriction, but because of the seats, he can't
Because
turn
of the
around, he can't point the gun at you,
yeah,
he
a
can't
lot of
grab
them
your
you find
phone.
like driving and
Exactly. So
yeah.
you have all this. It gives the child or the person all this time to quickly call for help. I'm out of the car. I love
Yeah.
the child lock piece. Oh my goodness, I had never thought of that. I'm gonna do that
No,
going forward.
no, definitely. Because I mean, you read about these things, now you've got the child, now you're stuck. You actually can see, oh God, this is not where I'm supposed to be going. Now what?
Yeah, and you only see the child lock when the car's moving and there's another crisis. Whereas if you check the child lock when you go in,
When I
he's
always say
still
to when you
chilled
get
too.
in,
He's not trying to do any harm yet or show you that
yes,
he's not harm you.
definitely. He's
And you're
not
like,
trying to do
this thing is
anything.
not opening. Please fix it before
And
we
honestly, when you get in
move.
the car and you feel like you haven't closed the door properly, you just open it again. So it's almost like you're double checking the guy. So he's
Yes.
not thinking. That's what you're checking for.
I love it. Oh my word. I'm learning so much. Okay. And then I like that you are also following, so you're tracking the car as it's the
Yes.
ride, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that's so
So
important. Mm,
So with my Uber app, I've also actioned the app to generate a security code.
mm,
I know that other people, I don't know if they know or they don't know. So when you activate the security code, when the Uber comes, I have to give him the code, which activates the trip. So if it's the wrong Uber, it's not going to link.
So
So
then
when I call the
we don't move.
so yeah, we don't move because it has to activate. And I mean, he can drive off, but then it sets off an alert on the app to say the pin hasn't been put. Why?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's designed for you when you get in the car. You tell him this is my pin. He puts it. It starts the trip and it verifies the trip. So I've also put that for when I call the Uber for the kids to say, okay, this is the car that you're waiting for, and I'll give it to my helper if the Uber's coming to get the kids, and this is the pin that you use.
yes.
Yeah.
Sure,
And then
brilliant.
also you then also have an option to now link like a teen profile on your app. So if my niece calls the Uber on her app, but it's linked to my app, so I can see her trip. I can see she's requested. I can see where it was going. I can see how much it was, and obviously my card is there. I can see the payment has gone through and stuff like that.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. So, I mean, I think a lot of us use Uber or other e-hailing services, and what you're just pointing us towards is that there's all these features that we need to learn about, right? Security code feature, which means if I don't, if our codes don't match me and the driver, the trip can't start. An alert goes out to Uber as well
Yeah,
that hey, this person is going ahead with the trip, but actually they don't
but
have
that
the security code.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like the teen profile piece as well, so you can see I mean, right, in the interest of giving your child autonomy and helping them to really
yes.
step into adulthood, you can book your own trips, but I can still see it.
Yes, and I mean, obviously, a lot of things can be very, I mean, restrictive. You could be in a meeting, you could
Yes,
your batteries died temporarily or whatever, whatever, and they need to move. So, sometimes you can't always be there, like you checking your phone because now you've called the Uber. So I've said to her, look, you can call the Uber, and I'll always be able to see on my app, even if I'm in the middle of a meeting, but I can actually see that okay, you've called. This is the vehicle that came, and so
yeah,
yeah,
I love that. I love that because as single parents also, and then just as parents, you can't be everywhere all the time, right? Sometimes you want to be present and like part of that thing, but you just can't be
yeah,
because other things that help you make this parenting experience great need your attention. So
yeah.
understood. Okay. All right. Namhla, we're gonna go into some like deep conversations
Okay.
because I'm actually really like impressed, not in a condescending way, but in just like wow, you're working so hard at being a parent.
Whew,
I just
girl.
think we can learn a lot from you. So that's why I'm gonna go into the hard stuff real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about three things. Let's see if time allows. One,
Okay.
how do you talk to your kid about alcohol? Two, how do you talk to your kid about sex? And maybe we'll swap those around. How do you talk about alcohol? And then we're gonna go into online safety.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start from the top. Again, you've got an 8-year-old, a 14-year-old, an 18-year-old who is in university, a 14-year-old
Mm.
who's entering high school, another
Cool.
world of like
Yeah.
hello to all the new stuff. Um, an 8-year-old who is watching stuff and has friends on TikTok and
Yeah.
whatever apps he's allowed on. I don't want to assume, but definitely also engaging with sex and all things relating to it in some shape or form, because unfortunately, no one is protected anymore.
No.
Just the So how are you navigating that? What conversation are you having with your kids? Yeah, and again, if you can give us some really good stuff like we did with the Uber, that would be so good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write an
So
article about this call and I'll cite you like Mom Namhla Nxasana-Duma said. Fantastic stuff here. Okay, over to
yeah.
you.
So with the alcohol,
Hmm.
you know, once again, having grown up Elushini, where you see people drinking, like black families, most people drink, and but there is also that whole thing where there's the extreme where there's an abuse of alcohol, and just the normalization of abusing alcohol. And then we obviously are now at that stage where, we young parents, and, we go out, and, we also socialize quite a bit with our kids. And when I say socialize, as in, I mean, I go out with my kids a lot to restaurants. So we go to restaurants, family dinners, family lunches. I'll order a mimosa here. They'll ask, what is this? Because it looks like juice, but, I'll have wine at home. I've got a bar, So I'm definitely very open regarding conversations around alcohol. I don't make it seem like something that's a sin, number one, because they see it, and I'm not going to hide it. And once again, it goes back to the law thing where we have conversations that this, it's wine, this is alcohol, and there's legal age. They'll ask, so mom, when can I start drinking, or when do people start drinking,
Mm.
whatever. Then I also will show them on the bottle, alcohol not sold to persons at the ages of 18. We have that conversation around the legal framework of drinking, smoking, things like that. And also just making them understand that, there's, because the conversation will always go back to like cigarettes and drugs. What is the difference? So making them
Mm.
understand that cigarettes are legal, but once again, age restriction applies, but drugs are actually illegal completely.
Yeah.
So for them to understand, then why are cigarettes legal and drugs and whatever. So with alcohol as well, it's for me to say to them, when you guys are ready, I'm not going to sit here and say, don't ever drink, it's a bad thing. I mean, you see me drink. But the whole thing about drinking is you have to do it responsibly, because in a way, it is a drug, because you can get addicted to alcohol, which would then ruin your entire life.
Mm.
And it's so funny because my 14-year-old is very much against, he's just like, to him, alcohol. Whereas the 8-year-old, for him, sometimes he'll see me having wine, he'll be like, how does it taste? Can I taste some? And I'm like, no, you can't taste. It tastes like adult juice, you know? So already in their personalities, the older one not
Mm.
interested, doesn't want to know how it tastes. To him, it's something that's all the way over there. That might even change as he grows older. Who knows? So I definitely do have open conversations with them. I make sure though that the picture that I present of a responsible drinking adult is one that, like, my kids have never seen me drunk. I make sure that I do not paint a picture of like a sloppy mom, like I'm drinking, I'm falling all over the place, because that's not the reality that I want them to have of,
Mm.
alcohol and just being a responsible drinking person.
Person, yeah, yeah.
And whatever conversations that they ask, I'm more than happy to engage with them. Likewise, with sex, I mean, they
Sorry, before we go
listen
to
to.
sex, before we go to sex education, I wanna just ask about alcohol. So you've got an 18-year-old in the house. She's in varsity, but do you ever drink with her? Because she's of age
No,
now, well, almost. But
no,
like, if she said,
almost
"Mom, can I have a
no.
drink?"
I have never. Well, obviously, I've never had a drink with her, and don't. I don't want to sort of introduce her to it. She would have to come to me and probably say that she wants to try whatever. I don't want to introduce and be like, oh, now you're 18, would you like to have a glass of champagne? Come, let's, no.
Yeah.
um
Okay. Okay.
but if we are out, and then she probably says, auntie, can I try? But also with my niece, it's very tricky because she's not my biological daughter, and I'm very aware that there are certain things that her parents should be okay with her doing, in as much
Mm.
as she lives under my roof.
Mm.
Her dad doesn't drink, her mom doesn't drink, so I also don't want to do something that's not going to sit well with her parents.
Yes. Okay.
Likewise with my boys, as they grow, I definitely do include the dad, in our conversations, to say, well, this one is now asking this one is doing that, because I want them to always know that behind their lives, there are two adults that have to be sure about the decisions that they make, type of thing. So, if the boys decided at 18, 19, they want to try beer, I'm not going to be like, yeah, sure. I'd have to say to their dad, look, the boys want to try. I don't know if you want to take them for their first beer. How are we happy with this? Like, how does this work? So it's all of that, where I also let them guide me in what do you want to know and how much do you already know. And then I'm very also big on fixing the incorrect narrative that they may have about something,
Yes. Oh, I love that.
because they see stuff on the internet, on TV, and I want to know, what do you know about what you just asked me? What do you think it is? Then I'm like, okay, let me tell you what it is, kahle kahle, because
Yeah.
our kids absorb a lot of information, and what you don't want to do is also uqashe or dumb it down.
Yes.
I,
Yeah.
I'm very big on facts. Like, in as much as I want to, maybe sugarcoat things, and no, but you know what? I have to stand on the facts.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
these are the facts, and then everything else, it's fine, it's whatever, it's conversations. But I have to first correct whatever it is that they thought, because they share a lot of information with friends, they hear things, and
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
have to filter.
I love that. I love that you're modeling healthy drinking habits, right? You're not you you drink alcohol in front of them so that they can see that,
Yes.
firstly, like it's a normal part of being an adult. You can choose
Yeah.
it and it can be part of your experience.
Yeah.
There's a bar at home, so they've seen alcohol. They're not gonna step out of your house one day, like your niece who's in varsity, and for the first time, like, wow, alcohol. Like, she's seen it. And I
Yeah.
know all these things, right? But also, I've seen the alcohol, I've seen what responsible drinking looks like. And
Looks like,
you
yes.
still get to enjoy yourself, and other people still get to enjoy you too,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Not
You know,
I would, because you're drinking, everyone else is hiding in their rooms because
yeah,
the adult in the
yeah,
house is now
or
opening a beer, you know.
yeah. No, I think that that's very important. And like I say, I mean, even when I do go out with them, I will not say go out with them and then now it's late. It's like 11. The kids want to go sleep, and I'm still having a jolly time. I would rather then just drive them back home and then go back to my friends if I'm still chilling, but also not making them uncomfortable. Say we're at a friend's place, bride was a family bride, and we're still chilling, and now it's like midnight, and the kids are still not home because I'm having a good time, and they want to go sleep. So I
Yeah.
just put those boundaries in place where everything is done in such a way where they understand that there's certain things that I can do because I'm an adult, but even in my adultness, I do responsibly and I do consider them and their well-being in
Yes,
that.
yes. Being an adult that does not then give you a key to be reckless and inconsiderate and irresponsible. No,
Yeah, no,
I love that. I also love that you said you correct any, like, inaccurate information that they might bring to you, um, because you want to stand on facts, even if it's
yes,
uncomfortable, even if it's like, but what is the
yeah,
truth actually about this thing? What's the fact? Let's
yes, no,
just start there before we
start
go
there.
into how might I be feeling about it. And
Yeah, no.
yeah,
And
yeah,
kids will put you on the spot. They'll put you on the spot
yeah,
because they want to know. And you're probably sitting there like, oh, not today, child. Like, I had a long day. But they want answers, and well, you can't shove it and bank it for another day.
yeah, yeah, because somebody else is answering them. They're on the
Somebody else is going to
phones,
answer
on
them.
the
Oh,
social
no,
media.
definitely. Or they'll
Somebody's
just go on the internet.
responding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll just go on the internet and Google it. Or they'll just ask their friend.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also love the point about letting them guide you. And somebody else we interviewed a few days ago said the same thing, that when, like, young people are not empty shells for us to just
Yeah.
like pour our wisdom into. No, they actually already know stuff. They're intelligent, they're absorbing, they're observing. So when they
Mm.
bring up a question that might be awkward or feeling uncomfortable, actually the thing to do is to say, why don't you tell me what you know already, and then let's see,
Yes.
then let's take it from there.
Let's
And
compare
that's how
notes.
you,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's how you get to correct any,
Yeah,
inaccurate.
misinformation, but also it tells
Yeah,
you where they are mentally.
exactly.
It definitely
Yeah.
tells you where they are mentally because how they deliver what they know to you so helps you ascertain
Mm,
ukuthi ingqondo yakhe ikuphi, like ucabanga kanjani.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
because kids aren't the same, you
true.
know. Kids are definitely not the same.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Let's talk about sex, baby. Um, I'm gonna let you go because I don't even know what the question is. Just go. Tell me. Tell us, please
Yeah.
teach us.
So okay, so the interesting part, I think where it really starts, the birds and the bees. Kids,
Mm,
they foundation is always how baby's made. Where did I come from?
yes.
So the conversation really starts from there. And honestly, as uncomfortable for other parents or whatever, you have to be honest that, I mean, I tell my kids, no, well, a mom and a dad, they have sex and then you conceived. So my little one be like, oh, what sex? What is
Mm-hmm.
sex? So I said to him, no, it's something that two adults do when they're in love um, and they're having fun, and it makes a baby sometimes. So
Yes.
you have to throw in biology, but also living in a house with two boys and a girl. There's also the understanding of the body. I think that's point number one, understanding of the body.
Yes.
Um, with my kids, I never gave like private parts funny names. It is what it is.
Yes.
And being obviously a single mom, I mean, there's no man in the house. And then I've got two boys who will shove their penises in my face every chance they get because, look, I've got this. I don't know this. I was like, okay. Mama, come see this. Okay. So
There is no
it's all
room
of
to be
that.
awkward in your house,
There's
is
no
there?
room to be awkward. And then you're bathing, and then somebody's coming in. Can I please have toast? I mean, you're there, trying to shower, But obviously, they were smaller at that time. And then as they
Yes,
grow,
yes,
now
yes,
it's
yes.
like, no, guys, but you can't barge in my room now. And also, I'm showering. Surely your toast can wait. Can I please just have my privacy? Then you obviously start introducing things like privacy. I think with both the boys, probably from the age of 6, I started stopping them from like coming in when I'm like naked in the bathroom, and
Mm,
also just to make them understand that it's my personal time, the same way when you are in the bathroom, it's your personal time. When, Nolita's in the bathroom, you knock, it's her personal time, you give her that space to get dressed, to do whatever it is that she's doing, which now it flows so nicely. I mean, even
yeah.
though I still have moments where like, I'm just sitting, it's a hot day, I'm topless, then somebody's gonna barge in my room and they're the first to be like, oh, dude, get dressed. And I'm like, but it's my room, the door was closed, you know. But we're very big on respecting everybody's body,
Yeah.
how we speak about every individual's body. So I've obviously said to them, jokes about like, oh, you so big or this or whatever. I'm like, guys, we don't do that. I know sometimes it sounds funny, but if you started here, you're going to do it to other kids at school. I've taught them, my boys are very light skinned and my niece is actually dark skinned, gorgeous. And sort of teaching them that, you know, just because people will compliment you, oh, you guys are so gorgeous, you yellow bones, please understand that Nolita is the girl that she thinks she is. She's absolutely
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous. And just letting them not let their skin tone go to their head. And my cow at 14, he's a bit on the skinny side. Eats a lot, but on the skinny side, whereas Shara is a bit husky. But also just understanding that we are all so different but beautiful, and you respect, even when you guys play, sometimes you'll like hit each other on the bum. If someone says they don't like that, you stop it, things like that. So then it also makes the sex conversation very
Mm-hmm.
easy to flow. They will ask me, like I said, how are babies made? What age are they allowed to have sex? How does sex feel? Things where it's like, I have to be honest to say, when you love
Mm.
someone in a good and healthy relationship and there's consent, it feels good.
Yeah.
and then obviously conversations around consent as well. Makawa is now 14 and they're starting to be like, oh, there's this girl and whatever, but teaching them consent as well to be like, you know, part of sexual understanding is, you know, you guys are young and some things you think are funny and you go to school with girls and you think it's cool to like touch someone's boob. No, other kids will do funny things, but things like consent, boundaries as well, just
Yeah. Yeah.
grabbing someone and hugging
Yeah.
someone and you don't know how they feel about that. we
Yeah.
don't we don't do those type of things because they can come across as very sexual.
Yeah. And as harmful, right? You are making a joke, but you leave somebody hurt.
Yes. And it's just all those things. I think it's a broad topic because then there's, I
Mm.
mean, I posted on Instagram the other day that my little one was using my bathroom and then he just saw tampon wrappers in the bin. And then he came to me and he said, Mama, you used 4 tampons today. And I had period pain, so I was lying in bed. And I said, yeah, I did. He's like, are you on your period? I said, yeah, I am. And he's like, oh my gosh, what must I get you? Must I get you chocolates, chips? Now he's running around the house going to get me snacks. And I'm like, what are you doing? But let me tell you, so in his mind, someone who's on their period needs to have chocolates and chips and be
Yeah.
taken care of. And he's now pulling the duvet on me. Are you okay? What must I get you? And I just, I started chuckling. I just thought, I need you to
Shame. So
mute.
sweet.
So sweet.
But also
But
like
now
clearly the stories he's hearing, right? And he's
he's
like,
hearing because he's seeing
mm,
this thing because I'm like, what? Where did you even get the stuff? But also
yeah,
understanding that girls go on periods and there's tampons and then there's this because I can't hide the stuff. Like, this is my bathroom, this is my personal space, and you're obviously going to see it if you're using my bathroom. So, but also when you get to school and you see a young girl who maybe has had an accident or whatever, don't now act like it's the end of the world. Your mom has periods.
yes,
Relax, find
yes.
out how you
Oh,
can help her, tell a teacher, you know. So it's I like how we are in this house because we sort of complement each other when there's a lot of things that the boys are exposed to from a female perspective. And obviously, I myself am learning a lot of things from them. Put the toilet seat down. Yeah, this is what's happening. And I take it in.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
take it in. I don't make it seem like, oh, don't talk to me about those things. I'm just a girl. I don't, call your
Mm-mm.
uncle, call your dad. No. I'm like, okay, let's have this conversation. What's
Yeah,
going on?
yeah. Oh,
Mm,
okay. So what I'm hearing is that firstly, talking about sex is not a narrow conversation.
yeah,
It's like a gateway to many other topics, and that's what's
many other
happening
topics.
in
Yes.
your household. I love the fact that I don't know if you explicitly said like, intend or to say it like this with your kids, but when you were talking about sex in the beginning, you said like adults have sex and have for fun, and then a baby can come out of it too, right? Because then that also says to them that like sex is a pleasurable thing.
Yes.
And then one of the other results of sex
Is
is
yes. If
children,
people, yeah,
right?
children, yes. And that's how
Right.
you came about.
Exactly. I love that because um, sex is a taboo in many many households, especially with
Mm.
us people of color. We are scared and we think our kids are going to become promiscuous and do all these wrong things. If we talk about sex, it's like actually you can like it's not a bad thing. It's actually like it's fun when you do it in
No,
the
yeah.
when you do it in the right constraint
In
in the
the
right
right
parameters.
environment,
It
someone
can
you
be
trust.
enjoyable. It can result
Mm.
in and it can result in little people in
Yeah.
your life. And I like the fact that you also use the correct words, or the correct names for body parts, because oh my
Yes.
goodness, like this thing of talking about peepees and tummies and toilets and the little flower. By the time it's time to have the real conversation, you have to start
Conversation.
by correcting yourself and saying, actually, it's not a little flower. This is what it is, right? It's not a little
Yes.
peepee. This way. But if you just
This is
start
what it is.
off with the right language, you know,
Yeah.
these aren't swear words, by the way.
No,
Parents
they're
listening, these are
not.
not swear words.
No.
Don't be afraid to use
Yeah.
them. They're not swear words, right? They're
No.
biologically correct names
Correct words.
for,
Yes.
like the eye. No one's going around saying, your little ball in your face. We all just say eye.
No.
So please, can you call
That's
an
true.
anus and not be
Yeah.
like uncomfortable about it or make it out your best? I really love that. And then I love that as you talk about sex and doing this education with your kids, and it sounds so organic too, and I love that because then next thing you're talking about periods, and you talk about like, oh, women get periods, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, and
Yeah.
therefore don't do it to other people. When you see girls at school who are having periods, mom's having it, that's all it is. It's just a thing that women go through, right?
Yeah.
But it's because you're talking about bodies and how bodies work
Work.
that you
Yeah.
get to that point where you can say, actually, the other way in which bodies work is that a woman has a period, and
Yeah.
this is what happens. And then I love
Mm.
that you also tie it to body shaming. You're like, okay, so bodies are beautiful and they can make children, but they're also different. And
Yeah.
therefore, we don't shame someone because they look different
Shame.
to us,
Yes.
because
To us.
something of
Yeah.
theirs is bigger than ours, or darker in
Mm.
tone, or lighter in no, all bodies
No.
are unique and wonderful, right?
Mm.
I love that. And then I love the colorism piece as well in there, because colorism, like particularly in Black society, it finds a nice spotlight in
Does.
romantic dating.
It,
That's
no,
where
it
you,
does.
you first experience it, whether you're a boy or a girl. Actually, as soon as you start being like eligible to be
Yeah.
romantically inclined, that's when you begin to realize, oh, I'm dark, and as a girl, like, boys are going for my
Yeah.
light skinned friend, or a boy will come and say he likes me and another light skinned one, but he's still
Yeah.
like he's still emphasizing my skin color by saying to me, "Oh, don't worry, Mina, now." Like, doesn't
Yes.
matter,
Yeah. That kind of
right?
talk. Mm.
Exactly, exactly. So I love that you also then get to that point. Um, so I'm going to ask, but I think the answer is in the way you spoke earlier. How are you having these conversations? Are you guys sitting down and you're having like, and you have like coffee and tea and, all right, let's talk about body shaming? Or are they like are they happening naturally? Are they like, how are you having these conversations? Well, not context.
Yeah. So they happen quite organically. I try to not have like these, oh, let's have a family meeting. So are you dating? Like maybe putting Lolita on the spot, what's happening? For me, I have an open door policy. Whatever it is that you guys want to know, come to me. Um, I try to not be too restrictive on, say, maybe the type of music that they listen to. Like, I'll be like, okay, Makawi, please DJ in the car, and he'll DJ, and I'll hear. And like my kids listen
Mm.
to some music that has swear words. I'm not tight about it because I don't want them to bathuke masebezizwa lezi zinto noma beyibona. And also, but I want them to understand that, number one, the music that you listen to, that's not how you speak on the daily. And you're able to have a constructive conversation without including like a F-bomb or whatever. So my kids, like, they don't swear at all, you know? Um, so even with music videos, they'll watch and I'll see, and then it's YouTube here. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, I've put restrictions in place. Like, for example, Shaga's iPad. I've made sure that his YouTube's clean and I've blocked and whatever. But obviously with Makawe, as he's growing, there's other things he's interested in, and if you block this platform, then he actually can't watch something as simple as basketball because it filters.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to have conversations around trust. Can I trust you that by giving you access to this, you know how to handle it, you know my expectations of you? Like I say, open door policy. Everybody's got everybody's pin, but we respect each other's privacy in terms of devices. So I have access to their devices, they've got access to my device. If I were to faint, my kids know exactly who to call, how to open my phone. There's nothing on my phone that makes me feel like I need to lock it. They know my bank
Yeah.
pins, all these things where I'm like, firstly, I'm the only adult in the house. If anything were to happen to me, my kids need to know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, how to access my phone, who to call. And then if people want to help, and say my sister's like, okay, where's her bank cards? How do we access? They know. Because I'm like, okay, guys, this is where my stuff is. This is stays here. These are my bank cards, you know. But it's also trust to say, these are my things. If you're able to, you know, access my things, doesn't mean you can take my bank card and now go swipe
Yes.
and, you know, buy stuff. You know, even if it's something as simple as buying a game, my kids will call me and say, can I buy this game? It's $30. Can I use your card and stuff like that? So the same thing with sex and those kinds of conversations is, I let it be organic, comes up in conversation. If we're watching something, then Shaga will ask, you know, it could be a rom-com, and then they do something like kiss, then he's got questions, then I'll answer, you know. As a single mom who's now dating as well, so conversation is, oh, so when you are at Uncle so and so's house, where does he sleep, where do you sleep? Then it's like, okay.
Mhm.
then then have that
We have that
conversation, because
conversation. Yeah.
I can see where it's going, you know, um, type of thing. So I really just make sure that I make it okay for them to ask.
I like the openness, because like when you talk about like being in the car and saying, you DJ, right? Let's hear
Mm.
what music you're in a way you're testing to hear what is he listening to,
What is he
and
listening
what's
to?
being
Yeah,
said in what he's listening to,
said.
and then we can talk about it. That okay, so this musician has just described this behavior. What do you think?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is that exactly? I also like that you spoke about like consent and boundaries, right? That
absolutely.
also when you're talking about sex and the body and all these things that come with being a human, but there's also, I think, like boundaries that we have to respect. People will
We have to
put
respect.
boundaries,
Yeah.
and we have to respect those boundaries.
Mhm.
Consent, we can't just do things with people. We have to ask people for things,
Ask, yes.
ask, and then get permission. Or people can withhold permission, by the way, and therefore you don't have consent, so you cannot then continue doing
And proceed,
whatever.
yes.
You cannot proceed, right?
Yeah.
I really like that. That's my fur baby.
At least mine is quiet. I was very nervous. He'll start barking also.
She just wants, she just wants to go outside and bark at people. Yeah, so I like the
Yeah,
openness approach. You even call it an open door policy that you have with the
yeah.
kids. But I think sometimes parents are afraid to to have an open door policy. They kind of, I mean, we grew up with parents being like firm, so
Mm.
like, there's things you can never say to a parent or ask about, but I think the way the world has changed, more and more parents need to be open so
Open.
that kids are
Yeah.
learning things from you, not from the wrong source. And I hear
Mm.
that we are out of time. Okay. Namhla, quick, like 60-second, what's your online safety? Actually, we've covered a bit of it, right? We're talking about like you have a
Yeah.
YouTube password for your youngest, and then your oldest, you have you've opened it up for him because it's kind of affecting his interest in sports. So now you've just
Yeah.
had like a trust policy, and he knows your expectations, and so he needs to work with those. um any other like online safety measures or even like approach that you've used? There's TikTok, which is like a wormhole. You open it once and you just keep going. I know
Yeah.
I've been stuck in that wormhole a few times. You
Eh,
just keep going, you just keep scrolling, next video. I'm like, oh my god, I need to
next
stop
video.
doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Any other
yeah.
approaches?
So with the kids, the rule is very clear. Number one, um, you stick to the rules of the house. So the things that you would not watch on the main TV, you do not watch on your private phone. If it's on the main TV and I pass by and you wouldn't want me to see you watch it, that's the same thing on your phone, right? In as much as I've got your password, obviously I respect your privacy, your conversations with your friends. but in terms of access codes, I have all their access codes, which also allows them to know that at any given point, if I need to do an audit, I'm well within my rights. Number two, so with the older one, Makawe, the 14-year-old, as much as I allow him to, for example, when he downloads apps, he needs me to co-sign it. So it filters
Okay.
through to me, then so I can see what he's downloading. With the little one, we share a user ID, so I can see what he's watching, what he's downloading.
Ah,
And as well, I've blocked certain websites and I've put it according to his age category. With Nolita, obviously she's a bit older. It's more a conversation to be had, and also just I think because I trust my kids so much, I also let them know that, guys, you need to be responsible with social media. There's a lot of weirdos and a lot of things can go wrong, from something simple as the groups that you join on WhatsApp, the things that you do. Whenever something happens and you take out your phone and start recording, being in the middle of something that's being recorded that is not okay, you must understand that that video is in somebody else's hands. If you guys are acting crazy and you think it's fun and that video is on another child's phone, it can actually.
Namhla, we lost you. Okay, not sure what happened to our guest, but just roughly, she was talking about this principle she uses for um, social media, and which I really love and I want to highlight, which is if you wouldn't have it play on the main TV and all of us in the house can watch it together with you, then you shouldn't be playing it on your phone in private. I love that because it just helps people to check themselves on, would I watch this with my mom or my siblings or my whole family? If I wouldn't, then there's clearly something off with it and I should move along. And then the other thing that she highlighted that I also really like is around having each other's passwords. So the kids have access to her phone, and she has access to their phones. And it's really for emergencies, but it's also a nice way to keep that check, that, if mom just for some random reason wanted to see my phone, what would she find, you know? And then I wanted to ask her about this feature, but she spoke about like when one of her kids logs into and download an app, she can see that and she has to co-sign it. He can't do it himself. I think that's a brilliant feature to also help kids make decisions about the kind of apps they are downloading and engaging in. And then of course for her very youngest one, he uses the same I guess Apple ID or whatever whatever ID that she uses, and that's how um, she can see what he's up to because of the age he's at. So, just a lot of really helpful and practical tips there that I hope you can use while at home and implement as well. Um, Thank you so much for listening and for being here. This has been a really like informative and practical, right? From that Uber advice to the conversations you're having about alcohol and the modeling you're doing there, the conversation that you're having about like sex education, and then lastly, this online safety piece. I hope you found something that you can pull out and use immediately. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, remember to be who you needed when you're interacting with the young people in your life. Keep well and take care.
Safeguarding Africa.